Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Leon, with Blackbeard Logic, 2A701, on the Guns and the 701 Network. I am happy to be here and happy to see so many of my friends um, with me here. I think man, every day in North Dakota, it's pretty much a good day. Like you go out, I fully understand if folks are out enjoying the weather and that sort of thing because it's a great day. It's an awesome day. Every day I start out, I got the 8 year old now out, out on this little dirt track out there making wheelies and whatnot. It's just a great day, and then politics takes over, and then everything just kind of goes off the deep end, right? I'm going to try not to be that downer today. I mean, obviously, in the political sphere which I operate, there's but we're going to try to keep it a bit upbeat and try not to like just bring everybody down. Don't want to be a Debbie Downer on a glorious, beautiful North Dakota Friday. The head of I got buddies that are already out at their camps doing their thing, having fun and all of that, and I'm sitting in the bunker somewhere in the middle of North Dakota, talking to you good folks, and I couldn't be happier. someone who someone who I think could be happier is uh Donald Trump. Like I'm watching this guy, and I try to keep up to date without overly immersing myself with politics. But I caught his speech at the UN. I caught that whole little dust up. I do not understand how that guy. Like I don't understand why he doesn't just go in there and give them you're fired and be done with the whole UN thing. Just send them packing. You're fired. Everybody, do you guys realize that he and Melania, they're headed into the UN now? We pay for pretty much everything there, and Donald Trump is the biggest swinging sacks of testosterone to walk through the door. And it's said that the escalator broke, but I have a sinking suspicion somebody, hit the button and made it stop, so they'd have to walk all the way up. And then when he gets to the podium, the teleprompter doesn't work. I mean, really, really, these folks, you're poking the bear. That's all I got to say. Good evening, Lynette. Wow, that I might have to put my glasses on now. I think I'm getting old. I'm getting of a certain age where sometimes glasses are needed. No, I think I was just squinting. It is a beautiful fall night. I was just remarking on how beautiful it is outside and how I'm stuck in my bunker right now. I I love it because I'm stuck in here with you good folks, and it's everything is going to be great. I have a pretty good show lined up for you today, and I have a couple of surprises that I'm going to reveal only on this show. I'm not going to put it on my social media until after the show. But I have a couple of surprises for you guys, and I think you're going to like it. We're going to start off the day, well, the night anyway, because it's night now. It's evening now. Folks are going outside chopping wood for the fire. I did that a little bit earlier today because after the show, I plan on relaxing out at the fire with the 8 year old and the woman in my life. And we're just going to sit there and relax and enjoy the weather and hope these box elders, I've sprayed sufficient enough of tetricide that the box elders don't bug us all night. But I'm hoping the a little cold snap that we get kind of freezes those guys out, and we'll be all right. We're going to do some rapid fire tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite people on the planet who did exit the planet yesterday. And it took me totally by surprise because I am, I pride myself on being pretty up, in the know about pretty much everything. Yet, I don't take my phone with me, so I'm not like one of those people to get the news and the information instantaneously. I do not like having my phone on me at all. Ask my wife. I go to the store, my phone stays. I like that whole situational awareness that comes with not having a media device on me. Not to mention, I used to wear these Bluetooth headphones, kind of wrap around. I forget the name of them, and learned that those things give you headaches and all kinds of weird quirks, and you really don't want that hanging around you all day long. But anyway, enough about that. We're going to talk about. I didn't know that Vodi had passed, and I was on a comment. I was commenting on something. You know me. I'm all piss and vinegar, so I'm commenting, and then someone just randomly tells me that in the comments, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" It kind of threw my whole angle off. It was the weirdest thing. And this guy, if you knew him, and I got a couple of clips. Um, if you knew about Pastor Vodi Bach, everybody has interviewed this guy. Black dude, big brother, big brother. He goes to Africa and he spreads the gospel to those brothers and sisters over there, and they really need it. And then he comes back here and he works in the inner city and he's spreading the gospel. Like we are losing a lot of these guys, and I just like it just kind of dawned on me how many of these guys we're losing. We need to step up, you know. Wow. Bodie has been on. He's been interviewed by like Glenn Beck, Ben Shapiro, Mark Driscoll, like just you name the who's who in the Christian conservative movement, and they all pay reverence to Vodi Bachman. He's larger than life. He's a titan of the faith, and he passed yesterday. And I understand, he's a bigger guy, so that comes with certain health issues and risk and all. But he's only 4 years older than me, so that kind of puts it in context. It's a scary proposition when you sit and you think about it. It's a bit weird, you know. Not weird, but scary. And we're also going to talk about the fact that the FBI, even though they lied through their stinking teeth throughout the Biden administration and throughout parts of, throughout the Biden administration for sure, about how many people they had embedded in the January 6th. I'm going to call it protest, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it a protest. But how many? They said that they had zero for the longest time, and then it was, well, we're not at liberty to say, and X, Y, and Z. I think you'll be stunned to find out just how many. And I have a video that I'm going to show you guys, and it's going to put a lot of things in the court. It won't. If you are like me and you have been following this as long as I've been following it, it will not surprise you because I knew from day one that there were instigators in there. I knew that there were people they were protecting in there. I think the entire thing was a bunch of patriotic people who the Washingtonians figured that they could prod and prod and prod until they could get them to act like Democrats and be destructive and be vile and be felonious and that sort of thing. And that's what I believe the onus of the day was. They wanted to get these good, patriotic, conservative people to behave like Democrats. That is the entire, I believe that was the entire agenda on that day. Trump wanted to send the National Guard in. Nancy Pelosi refused it several times. And you won't hear that in mainstream media, but that is the absolute truth. That's what happened. And then there is video and audio of various power people, Nancy and Pelosi included, that understood the tinderbox that they were stirring up, and they were all for it. It was on them exactly what happened. But I'm going to reel it back in for a bit, and I get a little passionate about it because I have friends of mine. Um, hey, Gail, Nick, um, I have friends of mine that went. I was actually going to go to that event, and at the last minute, by God's grace, I ended up not going. But I have so many friends that were caught up in that garbage shoot that was orchestrated. And then I have to sit and I have to listen to even conservative commentators talk about January 6th and then demonize a large portion of those people who I don't think were bad people. I think that they were pissed off because they knew what I knew, that they had stolen that election. And at once upon a time, you couldn't even say that. This is you got to understand the mentality of these people. There was a point in time that if I said that, I would be immediately yanked from whatever airwaves I was broadcasting from. Immediately. But we all knew it to be true. We all knew that the auto pin was not that popular. There, the popular meme comes to mind. She's just not that into you. And that's what I think about when I think about Joe Biden. Nobody was into that dude. And so well, I'm about to go down a rabbit hole. I am going to pull back now, and I'm going to go to the next rapid fire topic. I'm just going to touch on them right now, and then I'm going to dig into them here in just a bit. My third thing, what my rapid fire that we're going to talk about is Revelation 13:16 through 17, the mark of the beast. Now, I got a lot of friends who I kind of sent out my show prep to, and they were like, what are you talking about? This mark of the beast. What you have to understand what's going on in Europe. And I've heard rumblings of the same type of thing here in America, in the same context, even by some Republicans. So you're going to want to be here and listen to this. And I pulled some of Keir Starmer's sound bites of what they're running a full on propaganda campaign around this, what I would call the mark of the beast. And you have to be aware of these things when they come here because they are coming here. We've been prepped for it, and I'll tell you how in just a second. After that, um, at the top of the hour, what I want to do with my audience here is I want to have a segment called Off the Cuff. And Off the Cuff is simply this: it's viewer comments in real time. So I'm going to dedicate half an hour to that. You ask me a question. Like I go places, people pull me to the side and they're like, hey, I'd like to get your opinion on this, but I feel weird about asking it and yada yada yada. And so what I want to do is I want to sit back. I want you guys to think of a question you want to ask me. Always have wanted to ask me and just never got up the courage to do so. And I've had a bunch of you have no idea. So it won't embarrass me. I'll tell you straight out. It doesn't matter what it's about. It can be politics. It can be religion. It can be race. It could be any number of things. I will pull it up and we'll go with it. That's my off the cuff. That's what we're going to do. Um, we're also going to talk about a little local lunacy, things that I've seen here locally that drive me nuts, that are just absolutely insane. Like one of the things is Michelle Turnberg. Um, some crazy lady left a absolutely vile voicemail on her phone. And you can't share a worldview. You can't share a community. You can't share a country with people who think the way this lady thinks. Also, have I let the city of Fargo off the hook for that vile post from their health inspector? Nope, I have not. We're going to dig into that. I have some questions, and they're not just going to go away just because the mayor says, nothing to see here. I don't think so, buddy. You're going to be seeing a lot of me. And at the next commissioner meeting, there are going to be some questions that need to be answered. So I'll leave that there. And then the Moorhead book ban. Have you heard about that? Some book about white guilt in the elementary schools library. There's a big dust up about it. We're going to talk about that and some things that I think we could do about that. Also, I have a new venture, and it's kind of tied to that story. So stay tuned for that. I have a new venture that I am engaging in, and I want to see. I want to gauge the listener support for that venture, and whether or not I should go forward with it. Word to the wise, I started on it, especially a piece of it, and I plan on at least with that initial piece, I plan on pushing that piece. But it it's multiple facets, and I want to see I want to gauge what the support of those ventures may be in the future, the very very near future, and that's the way our show is going to stack up today. And I guess I'm going to get this part out of the way because I'm Pastor Bachman. That was a that was kind of a big deal when I heard about that because I've been following him for quite some time, and I remember he was speaking with it might have been Ben Shapiro, and his worldview, the way he comes across, the way he delivers his message is so powerful and so masculine and so um, um, Christ like, and I spoke about this on another podcast. There are certain things that I need from a spiritual leader. I don't like pleated khakis and sweater vest and men who talk like this, under their breath. I need some bass in that voice. I need to believe that you believe what you're saying to me is the gospel truth. Things that you will live and die by. That's what I need to hear. I don't like mealy mouth, wishy washy, pinky out. I don't. I want your message to resonate with me, and if it doesn't, I turn you off pretty quick. Vody was one of those guys. And I have a small repertoire of those guys. It's not big. You can ask my wife. Folks like Mark Driscoll and Vody Bachman, and guys like that. I really resonate toward. When we were looking for our church home, that's one of the things I had to have. Like my pastor now, just so you know, he, I've seen him in Carhartts. He preaches in boots and buckles. He's one of those. He's got calluses and Carhartts, and I couldn't be happier with that. That's what I love. And give me something that I can uh, uh, bear down on, and it resonates with me, and I can apply it to real life, real world scenarios, and how it affects my family and that sort of thing. And that's what Bodie was all about. One of the things that I want you guys to hear is Vody Bachman's own words on his own death. And I'm going to pull that up for you now. And we're just going to take a quick listen. And again, Facebook has been brutal on us because I would pull up clips and they'd have just a tiny little piece of music in it. And it would it would give us a strike. So I have gone through these, everything that I'm going to play, and I hope that there's no music in there, but I think I got it. So let's just, we're going to do this. Give me 2 seconds here. I want you to hear this in its entirety.
You are going to hear a rumor one day that Vody Walkham is no more. Don't you believe it? Don't you believe it? Don't you believe it? Because though I die, I will rise with Christ. It will not be the end of me, because Christ is raised, and I too will be raised with Christ. That is why he is called the firstborn from the dead. Folks, you don't talk about a firstborn unless there's others who are born after him. Don't you pity me. You pity the one who wants to hold on to Jesus without holding on to the resurrection. You pity the one who has absolutely no hope because they have no resurrected Christ.
That's that's Vody Bob. That guy was a very, very powerful voice for the Christian movement. Like, especially in my neck of the woods, you couldn't find a bigger titan of Christianity than Vody Bachman. He was a powerhouse, and it's sad that he's gone now. I'm looking for the next and I have a small repertoire, and I think I'm going to start promoting those kind of folks, because too many people have never even heard of him. All of the people that probably need to hear from him have not. Kind of a Charlie Kirk. You'd be surprised at the amount of folks who didn't know who Charlie Kirk was until after the fact, and now his like viewership, I guess his downloads and his streams just exponentially larger by the millions of people going back and watching. And I have a feeling that Pastor Bachman is going to be the same, because his message just resonates. And when you listen to one of his sermons, you feel it. It's all bass, It's all Christ forward, and you feel it. Like, this brother gets down in his soul, and he bears it to you because he wants to save you. Like, there is, and again, I'm not a pastor, and I'm gonna try not to make this like a pulpit or anything. But the fact of the matter is, if you love your brother, and I talk about the Imago Dei a lot. I one of the things that I think is wrong in the inner city, why the folks in the inner city can wantonly murder their brothers and sisters, and shoot indiscriminately and hit multiple people and not really care. And I think it's because they don't understand the Imago Dei. They don't see it in selves, and they don't see it in their fellow man. And the Imago Dei is the image of God that God imprints on every living person at conception. All of us have it, and some of us, the devil has clouded our own Imago Dei, and by doing so, we can't see the Imago Dei in our brothers and sisters. We don't recognize them as brothers and sisters in Christ. It's the reason why people don't stand firmer, in my opinion, for life. They don't see that tiny baby as a person, as a image bearer of God, and that's what people like Vody Bachman taught. He taught that we're all image bearers of God. We are all brothers and sisters in Christ, and we should love each other enough to say, "Hey, don't do that. Don't go down that path, because you're bound for a very bad place, a very bad place." And we need more people like Vody Bachman, and it's sad that he's gone. But as you heard his own words, don't cry for him. Like he he's got his reward, and I do believe that he is one of those folks that heard that message that we all want to hear at the end of our journey. Well done, good and faithful servant. I believe he is one of those guys. And I'm going to stop before I bring on the waterworks and all this masculine bravado, this thin veneer of a masculine bravado goes away for a bit. I'm going to just digress and come back for a bit. Um, hey, Dan. Hey, Eric. Good. Good evening from the better of the Dakotas. Eric, really? Ordinarily, I would say the South is the best, but in this particular instance, I'm going to have to go with the North. No hard feelings. Normally, north of the Mason Dixon to me is wishy washy, but in this instance, we're good up here. We're good in the North. I like South Dakota too. I love their adherence to the Second Amendment, and first and foremost, uh, I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I wouldn't be on Guns and 701 Network if I were not. And as you can see behind me, you know, I'm one of those guys. I'm one of the black and yellow crew, if you know what I mean by that. So there you go. We're going to move on to my second topic in my rapid fire, and that is, did you know that the FBI had almost 300 plainclothes agents embedded in the January 6th crowd? That was back in 2021. And way back then, way back in 2021, I said that I suspected that the feds had field agents there in that crowd. I can't remember the guy's name. I know Eric. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was one guy in particular that was all over the place. Like he's in all kinds of video that they hid for the large part, um, uh, telling folks to go into the Capitol. We gotta go into the Capitol. No, turn around. And then you have all the patriots standing around going, feds, feds, because they knew. And in some of the video I'm going to show you, they're doing the same thing. Like there are FBI instigators that are breaking windows and then trying to get people to go inside. And then when they're caught, they're blaming it on other people, even though, yeah, Epps, you're right, Dan, it was Epps. The guy that mysteriously disappeared from the FBI's wanted list and then mysteriously got put back on and then mysteriously got taken off again. And then he got a sweetheart deal because we were not having, not BS. But yeah, you're right. It was Epps. And all of this stuff is going on. Only two people were murdered that day. Both of them were patriots. Both of them were women, and both of them were unarmed. One of them was elderly, and they beat her. And this is gruesome. The Capitol Police that they beat her even after she had lost consciousness, and some folks believe even after she died. So yeah, Randy, you're right. Staged by Democrats and Pelosi. I 100% believe that. And Gail, you're right. Saw a video of the guy letting them in and waving them in. I saw all of that. I saw police officers removing the barriers. I also saw police officers shooting into the crowd that was not like agitated yet. They got agitated after they were shot in the face with rubber bullets. Like there's video of a guy walking around with a huge hole in his jaw and a rubber bullet sticking out of that hole, and he was just standing there. These are all things that they did not want us to see, which is why they hid and destroyed so much of that evidence that is coming out now. But anyway, um, as I was saying, I believed that a ton of those people were sent there not to watch. I believe that they were sent there to geofence one, that is to catch all of the signals from all of those folks that were there so they could round them up later, which they absolutely did. And I know Lynette. Nobody has ever talked about that lady. And I know, her name is on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna blurt it out like mid broadcast, and I know it because that's how I am. But yeah, nobody ever talks about her. We only talk about the Air Force lady that even our own I had to stop listening to local radio because even guys on our own side were calling her like a criminal who should have been, who deserved to get shot, and uh, I cannot abide that. In um, any other context, a unarmed lady that did not break the window being shot and murdered, we would be up in arms. Except this time, and that doesn't strike anyone as odd. Well, to me, it does. And if you guys remember, um, everyone that was brought up and lightly questioned about it, yeah, Kevin Kramer, you're right. He said that. And a couple of our local guys said that too. Ashley Babbitt, yeah. She wasn't doing anything violent. Nope. She poked her head in a hole that an Antifa guy made and was shot for her efforts. And you notice that Antifa guy just kind of stood back, gave the signal for that idiot to shoot her, and he did. And he got a book deal, and he's running for Congress, and he was all over all of the media. He got 2 days worth of fame out of that murder, in my humble opinion. But all of the people that were there, the Inspector General, the DOJ, Comey, all of those guys said that there were no FBI informants, plainclothes agents, agitators, anything. Like the FBI was hands off. There was only a couple there. No, it was almost 300. And I want to share with you a video I found, and this is just gonna it's gonna make you mad. If you're anything like me, you're going to look at this and you're going to be upset. I want you to see this. Give me 2 seconds here. That guy there.
Do not go in there.
And you see the coat, the flag. Not going in. He's blaming that guy.
A radio journalist from Michigan was shooting video that day at the Capitol. What he captured were two, most charitably called, suspicious actors, but they are dressed in such a way that led him to believe that they were government agents. And one of them, after the windows had been broken by a protester, it was encouraging people to pull the rest of the glass out and go inside. Bobby Powell, who was the journalist that had shot it, and he has his camera rolling, he told him that would be illegal. And that wouldn't be a good idea. He warned people off not to go into that window. And then he turned his camera around and he caught this agent or suspicious actor pulling a large pane of glass out, this tempered glass. It kind of folds into itself, crunch onto the ground. When he realized he was being filmed, he quickly dropped it. It seems apparent on the video that he did not want to be seen doing what he just did. So he pulled in a protester and started blaming him. He said, "What are you doing breaking that window?" The poor fellow that was being accused didn't know what was going on. And then he gave him a couple of really good shoves and cocked his arm like he was going to punch him. We don't know. His facial image is not on any of the Sedition Hunters sites or the FBI's most wanted site, but he clearly was committing criminal damage to property, and he has not been charged. So it raises a question of why.
Also, the individual trying to, again, opening the window up is even encouraging people to enter, I believe, as well?
Yes.
What's he saying?
Well, he said, why don't y'all open the rest of it up?
Why don't you guys open up the rest of it? Because I think that'd probably be illegal. Oh, I know, my glasses.
So as you can see in that video, that guy, and you can hear other folks off camera going, "Fed, Fed, Fed." That happened a lot. And you notice these guys, these Antifa guys, these feds, they cover up head to toe. And then he went in there, he broke that window, he pulled it out, saw he was on camera, dropped the glass, blamed the guy with the flag. And the guy with the flag is like, "Wait a minute, I didn't, what are you talking about?" And that whole, these things like this is why there is so much mistrust in our government. What we went through the last 4 years, especially, that's country breaking stuff. And it's by the grace of God that we're not we're not a broken country. It's by the grace of God because they have been poking the bear, so to speak. Like my mom used to say this, like my dad would come in, he's like just dirty and tired and he just flopped down on the couch. And us kids, we didn't have a care in the world, so we were running around and we're jumping on him, and she'd go, "Don't poke the bear." And funny story, my dad's nickname is the bear. That's his nickname. So literally, don't poke the bear. But I think that's what they've been doing this entire time. Like this country has been on a hell of a ride. If you think about what we've been through for the last, I'd say 10 years, starting with the whole COVID thing, and how all of that just rolled over and rolled over and rolled over, like it was an orchestrated deconstruction of America. That's what happened. And you think about everything that followed that, the fact that Donald Trump won that first election through the entire, um, um, I'd say, World Economic Forum class into turmoil. And you'll see all of these stories that I pull kind of roll into that. Like the story of the what I am deeming the mark of the beast. It fits right in there. They could not have this disruptor in there, Donald Trump. And I don't think that Donald Trump understood the ramifications of him actually winning. I think he knew that these people were corrupt, but he figured he could get in there, and if he's president, he could actually do something about it. And then he found out, whoa, I don't have the power I thought I had. I mean, think about it. He wanted to look into the corruption in the Ukraine, and they impeached him over it. Think about that. That's it blows my when that story was happening. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe like folks would be on TV arguing both sides of the fact, and I'm like, wait a minute. He's asking about actual corruption, and the prosecutor is on tape saying, yeah, there's corruption, and all he's doing is going, hey, look into this corruption, and they lost their ever loving mind over that. That's when I knew. That's when I knew that we are involved in some just atrocious things. And when I say we, I mean the United States of America. And I believe that when folks like me and folks like a ton of the, and when I tell you that I have very, very close friends who were there and that I was supposed to be there, I'm telling you, when I say close friends, I'm over at their house. We're eating collard greens and hog maw, and like our kids play with each other, and yeah, I mean we're friends. Listening from the hunting shack. I said that earlier. A ton of my friends are out. They're at the hunting shack. They're having fun. They're enjoying the weather. But I'm going to go back. One of the things that Kevin Kramer used to always talk about, and it would just cheese my grits like you could not believe, is when he would call Ashley Babbitt a criminal and basically say she deserved what she got. And I'm like, I cannot share an ideological point or worldview with a person that says that. Now, I'm going to step off of that rake because I know what kind of heat that's going to bring. Part of me doesn't care, but part of me is saying, hey, you're starting a podcast. Let's not step on rakes just quite yet. So, there you go. But needless to say, part of me is happy I didn't go because, again, I am a piss and vinegar type guy, and that kind of stuff. Mm, the things that I saw, the things that I know now, um, just and you see how our DOJ, our system of government, Washington, was turned against the people they're supposed to represent, and how powerful that machine. They were wrapping up grandmas in Alaska. They were wrapping up people within a 10-mile radius of Washington, knocking on their door. Think about that. During the George Felonious Floyd riots, they burned literal cities to the ground. And those people largely just walked away. Stores looted to all the way down to brass tacks. Like there's stores there that will never reopen because they were wiped out, and they're like, we're not eating that loss. All over the country, George Floyd this and riots that, and mostly peaceful, protest and all of that stuff. And these poor patriots that saw something wrong and did exactly what they've been telling us to do, see something, say something. So they saw something and they went to say something. They all got wrapped up, and the full force of the United States government came bearing down on them. And I think that that's a damn shame. I think that is, again, country breaking stuff right there. Country breaking stuff. And by the grace of God, we're still a country. And I say that, and it is a frightening thought of how bad these people want to break us. They know what buttons to push. I mean, I sit back and think 10 years ago, if these idiots had told us that one day in the near future, we're going to tell you that your little boy can become a little girl and you're going to take it. There's nothing you can do about it. All the women that fought for Title IX, you sit down, shut up. All the little girls that don't want to change and don't want a full grown boy, teenager boy, fully intact, changing in their changing room. Those little girls, no, you're bigots. Sit down, shut your mouth. If they had told us that, no one would have believed them. But they ran through the gamut. They pushed us as hard as they possibly could, and they thought they were going to get a civil uprising. And it didn't happen. So they brought out the crazy. Like your mom used to tell you, leave your crazy on the front porch. We got company. They went to the front porch, grabbed that trunk, brought it in, opened it up, and let the crazy out. Because I think they're on their last leg. And I think that they're not going to stop. And I think that what they're attempting to pull with, like, the whole political persecution trumpet that they're blowing now, because some of those people that committed a ton of those acts of atrocities are finally getting scrutinized now, like Comey and a long list of other people, hopefully. Now they're going, oh my God, it's political persecution. He's using the office of the presidency. He's weaponizing it. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Did you not just go through the same 4 years that I just went through? That the rest of the country, half of the country, just went through full on tyranny from one side of the aisle. And now you want to say it's political persecution? I got to digress. or I'm getting hot right now. As a matter of fact, let's go to my next point. Um, how many of you folks know what Revelation 13:16 through 17 says? It refers to the mark of the beast. I'm going to read it to you. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy, sell, or trade, save he had that mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now, I want you to hold that in your mind right now while I play you something. And again, as I said, all of this kind of wraps into one thing. All of it does. I'm going to play you two clips. One is Starmer, and he's announcing mandatory digital IDs for the right to work in the UK. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to wrap this up in a little ball and show you how dangerous this is and how it is definitely something that we are looking at also. Listen to this.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. And that.
Now think about that. Think about what that man just said. Like damn near word for word from the good book, from Revelation. You will, and you know how they're couching this? It's going to shock you. Europe, the EU, has been doing what the Biden administration tried doing. Well, actually, that the Biden administration did do. They've been doing this for like 15, 20 years. Opened up their borders, let all of these people in. And now the folks there in England and all of those different countries that are native to that country, not the refugees, not the illegals, not the people that poured in by the absolute millions. I'm sure you've heard of the rape gangs they have over there. And Tony Robinson, who his only crime was to criticize the parliament because over there they don't have free speech. So he criticized them. They told him, if you do that again, you're going to jail. He publicized how many rapes were happening just in his neighborhood, the neighborhood that he grew up with. And he also showed the number of mosques. Like this is it's a small a suburb. I forget the name. I think Edinburgh or something. But he grew up there. They played rugby and soccer and all of that, crazy British stuff. And they had churches on every corner. Now there are mosques on every corner, and their girls and their women can't walk freely down the street without being accosted. The number of rapes have skyrocketed up to something like 500%, and these people are pissed off. They're mad about it. And Tony Robinson, his crime was pointing this out and making sure that the world knew, because over there they don't have freedom of speech. So the reason you probably haven't heard of this is because they don't allow them to talk about it. They call them a bigot, and a cop would come to your house, and that's what happened. Like Tony has been in jail actually for a large part of this year. I think he might have just got out and led like a 1,000,000-man march on these idiots. But the fact of the matter is, they allowed that to happen. And now, government is here to help. So they caused that problem, and the digital ID is their solution. Their solution to the problem that they caused is control. So if you are on social media at all, if you get on Twitter, you'll see it's flooded with this idiot and other people in the MP over there giving you all of this fluff about the digital ID and how it's going to be great and how it's going to ensure that only people in the country legally will be able to work. You can't work or get on their stupid universal health care or anything like that if you don't have this digital ID, and they're marketing it as a tool to combat low wages because of these people that are coming in and taking jobs that Britons will do, but they're not going to do it for pennies under the table. So again, the very thing that's happening in our country that we're all PO'd about has been going on over there on steroids. And their answer to that problem that they created this problem. The answer to that is the digital ID, which will control you. Now, think about this. You can't work. You can't get a job. Your currency is tied to this digital ID, meaning they can monitor your bank accounts. They can shut your bank account off. They're moving toward that currency that everybody's talking about, that central bank currency. So all your money, it's digital. They'll be able to control all of that, just like they did in Canada, all of that. And with this little tool that they're marketing as a free tool to help crack down on illegal immigrants taking jobs from the hardworking British man, that's how they're pushing this thing. This is what they're dealing with, and that's coming here to a town near you. I've heard Republicans talk about the same and similar things. We're all upset about voter rolls and illegals voting and illegals taking jobs and illegals getting on the government dole. I'm telling you right now, what they're going to do is they're going to push something like this, and it will be pushed as a remedy to the BS that we had to undergo for the last 4 years. Them putting illegals on black flights and flying them to Fargo, North Dakota, flying them to Moorhead, Minnesota, flying them to Minneapolis by the plane loads. Tail numbers taking off planes, black flights in the middle of the night, busing people, filling up Boeing 747s and flying them all over the country to the swing states. All of that. They did that. There was a purpose for that. That's the reason you didn't see people, even Republicans, standing up and going, "What the hell is going on?" Absolutely not. This is illegal. We have immigration laws that are not being followed. You didn't hear any of that. Any of that. Even from folks on our side. And I'm telling you that this is going to happen here. I've already heard it. I've already heard rumblings about this. Illegals are everywhere. How do you make sure that they're not voting in our elections? Well, we got to go to real ID or a digital ID. We have to do something. No, the problem is, and this is just one man's opinion, we don't get pissed off enough. When a politician tells us something like that, and we just have to take it because we have no recourse. The illegals are here. They let that happen. They allowed that to happen. They used our taxpayer dollar to funnel these people in. There were people all over South America showing these people how to get here. Our own NGOs was paying for debit cards and telephones and maps and routes and all of that stuff. Our money paid for all of the hotel rooms that they set these people up in, all of the buses and the airfare and the food stamp cards and the money cards that these people were getting. We paid for that. We paid for that. And you see how much trouble they're giving Trump and they gave Elon and Doge when they started unpacking that. You see the trouble that caused because we paid for it. And we're going to end up paying for this new digital ID. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I want to play one other thing. Gail, yeah, you're right. Waltz gave illegal drivers licenses. 100%. Can't tell me they're not voting. 100%. And I'm sick of people saying, well, they can't do that. They don't have social security numbers. Are you out of your mind? Are you insane? It's like some folks don't have the brain cells that God gave a grasshopper. But I want to play you one other clip right here. Two seconds here. This
all UK
here.
citizens will have to have.
I'm going to restart it here. All right, here we go.
Citizens will have to have one. Well, the plan is that we're going to roll this out by the end of
No. My question is, what if I don't? What if I've got my job, so I don't need to show this to anyone? So what if I just don't do it?
So if you don't have one, then you'll have a problem if you want to get a new job.
No, I'm saying I'm not doing that. So I'm not seeking a job. So why should I get the digital ID card? Why do I do it? Well, is there some fine for not doing it? Is there an incentive to do it? I'm just thinking I've got no reason to do it.
Yeah, look, this isn't a heavy-handed approach. We're not planning to go around finding people.
Are you kidding me?
But what we are going to do is make sure that everybody's got one. In the same way, Charlie, as you've got a national insurance number, if you're a citizen of this country, we'll make sure that everybody has a digital ID.
So help me with this. I know we're plotting through this, but
yeah.
So everyone watching who's got a job has got a national insurance number. So when these digital ID cards exist, if I just go to my employer and show them my national insurance number, is that not sufficient? Are they being precluded from employing me?
It won't be sufficient. I just want to be really clear about that.
So they can't employ people unless they've seen one of these
a digital ID.
cards.
Yes, that's right. That is the plan. And the major benefit of that to the entirety of the UK is that we will therefore be able to disrupt the illegal market where people come to this country and work illegally and undercut British workers who could otherwise get those
Well, national
jobs.
insurance number would have the same effect because if you're illegal, you can have one of those.
Well, all UK
So
citizens
you
will
see what she did there. And I'm going to stop sharing that for a second. So you see what she did there. It's not going to be heavy-handed. Of course it is. You can have it, or you can't work. You can't feed your family. And you see the way she couched it. She couched it as, we have to stop illegal immigrants undercutting our labor market, our job market. And the guy tells her, well, you can't get a job without that, what is it, insurance number or whatever they got going on over there. And she's like, correct, but. And then she goes on. And I'm telling you, if you have like Twitter or any other of the social media and you go on there right now, it is unbelievable how they're pushing this. They are, like, these people are going bees to the wall trying to get the EU, the rank and file, to accept this, and they're not. They are. I mean, they are over there. You can't say anything bad about the government, or you'll have MPs knocking at your door. You'll have cops literally knocking at your door. And so, even with that threat, there are people over there that are like, hell no, America, don't go down this road. Help us out. All of this stuff. And you're right, Dan. Dan, some are dumb, but some are diabolical. You are 100% right. I was scrolling through like all of these folks that are MPs and like Keir Starmer and all of like it is a huge deal right now, and I don't know what's going on today, but they are really pushing it. Like my feed was flooded with all types of representatives from over there. Don't let them scare you. Digital ID is for our protection. It's to save jobs. It's to save X, Y, and Z. It's for just the one. The one post that I've seen continuously says this: we will roll out digital ID for free across the UK. This is another measure to make our borders. I can't even say it with a straight face. These people are insane. This is another measure to make our borders more secure and combat illegal working. Digital ID will make Britain safer, fairer, and more secure. And that's the Labour Party. And they've been pushing this out all day long. And of course, me being, the good American boy that I am, I'm like, it's a trap. You guys, it's a trap. And I'm hoping against hope that when they roll this out on this side of the pond, and they will, mark my word, it is what, 7:01 right now. 7:01 on this day, September 26th, Leon said that they're going to roll this thing out here. It probably won't be called a digital ID. They'll glam it up a bit, and they're going to appeal to us. They're going to do exactly what they're doing over there in the UK. They're going to appeal to us by saying, well, if you get this, illegals won't be able to do X. Well, I thought they couldn't do that now. I thought that's what the social security number was for. I thought that's what our IDs were for. They, they're not supposed to do this now. They also weren't supposed to come over here by the 25 to 30 million that they did under the Biden administration. They weren't supposed to do that. We're supposed to have safeguards. We're supposed to have laws and border enforcement and things like that. Did that happen? Absolutely not, because they lied to us with a plume. They these people these people are diabolical. And I remember, and I tell my wife this all the time. It's been memory hold for the majority of folks. But I told her I remember specifically a Glenn Beck exclusive like years ago when he had he has his whiteboard out and his chalkboard out, and he's pulling up memorandums from the WEF, the World Economic Forum. And in that memorandum, they said they had all of these Western countries needed to be destabilized. And the way that they were going to destabilize all of these countries was flood them with third world migrants. They said that in Glenn Beck's little expose he did, that was in there. It was a document from the WEF, and we're surprised now. And like I don't hear anyone talking about that. And part of me is like, did I dream that? Why is no one on my side, on their side, anywhere? Why is no one talking about that? That we knew they were doing this. We knew that they were going to do this. Under Biden, we knew what was going on. We absolutely knew it. And it was allowed to happen. And I see the chats are filling up. Our real ID was supposed to fix everything right. I don't have a real ID. I guess I'm not ever going to fly. And I'm fine with that. I mean, we got fat idiots flying planes now that have African lesbian degrees from I don't know where. I'm not getting on a plane. Planes are literally falling apart midair because of DEI. I'm fine. I'll drive. You know, I'm good with that. I don't need a real ID, and if that's what it's going to come to, I just won't have an ID. I'm good with that. You know, Dan, and I get it. I get it. Some folks like, and I'll just use this example. Like we homeschool. I get that a ton of people can't do that. I get it. And I get that a ton of people aren't as salty and honorary as I am. I get that too. And I get that you don't want to kind of sit around and be unemployed because of X, Y, and Z. I get it. I've been blessed with a lifestyle that I'm flexible. My skill set is transferable, meaning if you like during COVID, I was the network engineer for the northwest region in this region. So from Pembina down the east side of North Dakota, all the way down to South Dakota, and from uh, I forget the name of the town that's way up by the Canadian border on the Minnesota side. From that spot all the way down on the western side of Minnesota. So when the whole COVID mandate hit, and UPS was one of those companies that said you have to get the vaccine, or you had to have some exemption. I just said no. That's I said no, and I have a ton of friends who were there who are good Christian, God fearing conservatives. They and I'll show you how heavy handed they were. A lot of these folks, a lot of my friends applied for a religious exemption and they were denied like multiple times. And a ton of them asked me, "How are you getting away with this?" And I'm like, "I'm not getting away with anything. I got the email. I sent the reply back. I'm not taking it. Basically, my body, my right, and I'm not getting an exemption. I'm just not doing it. I did not get fired. I did not. They did not suspend me. I went to work every single day, and I walked in head held high, and my body was vax free. I'm just not gonna do it. But I understand that a lot of folks aren't as salty as me. They're just, and I think they took one look at me and they were like, "Yeah, we're just gonna quietly shove this one to the bottom of the pile." Not to mention the fact that I was confident enough in my skill set that I knew that they would not be able to easily replace me. So that's another caveat in there. I didn't really think about that a ton, but that was in the back of my mind also. I knew they couldn't replace me easily, and I ended up leaving anyway. So it all worked out great. But the fact of the matter is, when the government wants to do something, they will roll over you to do it. We saw that. We saw that during COVID, and they used COVID to implement the steal that happened, and they used all of that to poke the bear on January 6th. Like it's all rolled up. It all just keeps rolling over. Um, yeah, Randy, you're right. You're right. And I'm there's a ton of folks that are like me and as salty as me that just said no and they stood up. And I believe that when they roll out this digital ID, we're going to have problems because you're going to have certain businesses that are going to virtue signal just like they did with the mask. I can't tell you how many places that my wife and I went. And I go in there just with my naked, bearded face, and pretty much dare someone to tell me, I can't be there. I had it happen one time. They called the cops. Me and the cops had a conversation, and they're like, "Look, man, I get it." And it was in on the Moorhead side. We were in Grand Forks on the not Moorhead, but the Minnesota side. At some I forget whatever store it was, like a grocery store, and some limp wristed pasty liberal idiot guy comes out. He was all aghast that my face was naked, and he's huffing through his little mask that you could literally, if this guy smoked, he could pull a drag of his cigarette through the mask and blow the smoke right out the mask. But he wants me to put one on to protect him from, I don't know, the COVID. If he lifted a weight once in his life, if he pushed away from the table once in his life, if he got 2 steps of cardio in at any point in his week, he would have been strong enough to get COVID, cough it off, and walk away happy. But no, they're all freaked out. But anyway, I I'll digress on that because you see, it gets me hot. It gets me a little hot when I talk about these matters. I cannot believe that the country founded on a bunch of scrappy farm kids, basically. And you got to understand this. Most of our founders, they were kids. They weren't 50-year-old salty Leon Francises. They weren't a bunch of Dan Hagers or Randys or Jamies or they weren't. These guys were between the ages of like 18 and 30. They were young. I cannot believe that a country founded on the mentality that founded this country all those years ago would roll over this easy. Roll over. Yeah, 18 to 22. You're right, Gail. I wanted to make sure I had that covered just in case I was being fact checked by some limp wristed liberal. And you know they're listening. You know they are. So, anyway, I went too long in this segment. I was supposed to already be on my off the cuff viewer comments, but I just wanted you guys to be aware that the mark of the beast, it's coming. I don't remember this, but I remember older folks telling me about the Social Security number and how that was such a big deal back in the day. They believed that it was the mark of the beast, that you would not be. As a matter of fact, the Social Security Act got stripped down as much as it did because so many patriots stood up and said, "Wait a minute, this is the mark of the beast, literally." And then so it was. You don't have to have one. It got watered down a bit, and now people think that you must have a social. You don't. But that's another show altogether. So I'm gonna couch that. Maybe we'll talk about that on another show. But there you go. So I'm gonna move into the off the cuff segment here, and what I'm gonna do is anything you guys want to ask me, you just throw it in the chat. I'll grab it, I'll read it off, and then I'll go with it right off the cuff, as the name denotes. And I want to take a minute and thank everybody that's tuned in: Brent, Gail, Justin, Dan, Randy, my lovely wife Nicole Lynn, who I normally Nicole has to go through all of me sitting here ranting, and I am glad she's got people to share it with now because now you know she doesn't have to take the full brunt of this crazy all on her own. So Dan, Doug, Jamie, Gail, another Dan, Lynette, another Dan. Wow, Brandy, JD, uh, Kevin, Eric, anybody that I missed. Like I'm scrolling through these. There's a ton of chat, so I need to keep up with this right now. Okay. So we're moving to this. Do I think Scott Jensen has a chance to win against Walsh? The thing is, Minnesotans. I don't know. I know a ton of good red-blooded patriots over there. I even heard that who is it? I can't remember. There's somebody else that might be running. The Pillow guy might be running, but Scott Jensen. I remember way back in the day. I actually interviewed him. Rational reason, doctor, I believe, and he made a really strong showing. But they have so. Do you understand the amount of people that they have brought to Minnesota? I mean, my God, they changed the flag over there, the city of Minneapolis, to the Somali flag. Mike Lindell, you're right. You're right. And Lynette, see, I didn't want to just be that blunt, Lynette, but yeah, I don't think he has a chance. I think that Waltz will win. That big Democrat machine is going to roll over everybody. If they don't have voter reform, as a matter of fact, right now, I think that they are in a legal fight with the Trump administration because they're not releasing their voter rolls. They need those things to cheat still the next election. They're not giving that information over. They will beg, borrow, and steal to make sure Walls stays in there and make sure that it was once a purple state. I'll say that, but now again, the amount of people, the sheer amount of people, and this was all calculated when they were busing these not migrants, these illegals and refugees all over the country. One of the places that was hardest hit was Minnesota, and there's a reason for that. Back in the mid 90s, they had a huge Somali population. I was shocked even back then when I would truck through there. Yeah, it's that times 100 now, Dan. It's no, and Eric, no, I was not one of the people that claimed the Bible said the rapture was supposed to be the 23rd of this month. No, I saw those videos. Those people were idiots. So yeah, and Doug, you're right. If again, if it's anywhere within a shadow of a doubt, they're just going to steal it anyway. I mean, we saw what they did. We saw what the machinery did to Donald Trump, and then all over the country. It would, in the best interest of all Minnesotans, it would, it would be in the best interest of all Minnesotans for Walsh to lose. That guy's an idiot. He is an absolute idiot. This guy put tampons in the boys' bathroom. What the hell does a man need with a tampon unless he's been shot? I mean, seriously. And I just I don't understand how people like that get in positions of power. He does not have the IQ power to jumpstart a battery powered car or a flat. That guy, I do not understand it. I do understand it. You dumb down the populace is what you do. You stick them all in these urban centers, which is what Democrats do, and then you ballot harvest. And that's what they do. Like if you look at all the rural parts of anywhere in this country, you'll see that they're bright red. And then you hit those urban centers, and that's where they've been just piling people into. They bust them there, they truck them there, they fly them there, and they want to make those places. One of the problems I have right now with all the city planners in Fargo and in Bismarck too is they want these places to grow, and they're doing their level best to do that. I mean, Fargo is growing by leaps and bounds. It's unbelievable. And you go to any Walmart any day of the week, and it looks like the World Trade Center in there. Like you're not going to find a Bubba in there. You're not. You're not even going to find very many Tyrones. You absolutely will find folks of varying ethnic backgrounds that are not from this country. That's what you will find. And to me, that is shocking. And again, I say that to say this. As long as we're allowing these people to shove as many people as possible into these urban centers in the interest of growth, because that's what it is. I heard a good friend of mine who has a radio show in Fargo, and he brought that question up. And obviously, I called in and I'm like, no, it's not a good idea because I understand the game. understand what's going on. Um, North Dakota is barely red, and I'm saying this in this context. We have a lot of rhinos in North Dakota who are Republican only because they're not quite at the point where they'll say that they're Democrat, but they're right there. They're right there. We have a ton of people, representatives, that are rhinos. And when I was at the last convention, and you see, I wear these baby feet here. I'm 150% pro-life. Again, I believe that the Imago Dei is imprinted on every human being at conception. I believe that God knew us when we were still in the womb. I believe that if God knows when a sparrow falls, he knows when we murder a baby. Trust me, he does. And he's pissed about it. And when that wrath is unleashed, we're going to be like, holy crap. And it will be our undoing, and we will deserve it. Now, that being said, at that convention, I had really good friends of mine, friends that I started the North Dakota Tea Party caucus with, folks that I thought were 100% pro life, who send their kids to Shanley, who said all of the right pro life things and go to the pro life marches and all of that. There was a bill there, a personhood bill that would recognize a baby. And again, I believe a baby is a person at conception. I believe we don't murder babies, period. But this bill was kind of watered down, and I think it was like, I don't know, 7 weeks or 14 weeks or something to that effect. And these people who I thought were conservative and people in the pro life movement were lobbying to shoot that down because they thought the language was too strong. Let that sink in. I had a good friend of mine actually bring me that garbage and ask me if I would talk to people like that were like-minded like me and get them to not vote for this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you? And if I told you his name, you'd be like, shut up. No way. But yes, again, we have folks that don't stick to their principles. They stick to the political current that is popular. That's what they do. Steve Day says this all the time. We're not a country of laws. We're a country, and we never were. We are a country of political will, and we always have been. That's what he says. And I believe that. There are very few people that will stand in the breach and say, you shall not pass. Here, sir, and no further. We have very, very few people that do that. We need more. And as long as we are allowing these people to ballot stuff our cities and our urban centers with illegals and low-income folks that they're subsidizing, and that whole thing, as long as we are allowing them to do that, they have a permanent underclass that they can use at any time to put their people in power. And that's why I don't. And that is a very, very long winded way to say, as much as I want Walsh to lose, I think he's going to win. I'm sorry. All right, I'm gonna digress, man. I've been talking a lot, and yeah, I'm sorry. Gail, you're absolutely right. 1,000%. Every child is sewn together in the womb by God. Jesus's cousin jumped for joy in the womb when Mary came near his mom, and Jesus was but a tiny, tiny tot in his mom, and John recognized him. He recognized the holy even in the womb. He jumped for joy in the womb. In the womb. If they had been carrying today, his mom would have been encouraged to abort him. So, and again, I digress. I'm going to take a step back. There you go. Uh, wow, Gail, you're really on it. Let me go back up. If it's close, okay. Doug, if it's close, they will find votes. Absolutely. Minnesota is, Justin says Minnesota is full of dumb numbnuts and election fraud. You're 100% right about that. I'm so glad I left there 20 years ago. Gail, he was the first to blow the whistle on the fake COVID death numbers. Yep, I remember that. Hospitals were recording automobiles and motorcycle deaths as COVID deaths because they were paid for more COVID deaths. Now, this last session, I gave testimony here in Bismarck, um, basically, and one of my sticking points, because they were saying they were pushing and pushing that you don't need side effects on the drugs that they're forcing on you. And a couple of the points that I made were like, because they had their little stats, and their stats said the COVID vax saved X, Y, and Z lives, and blah blah blah, and we all know that's BS. We all know that they cook the books. It's all they do, and they have these women get up there and lie to you. Just, I was happy that the room was packed, and it was packed with people who were pissed off at those folks. So I wasn't up there alone. But the amount of misinformation, and I'm loath to even use that terminology, but it's their terminology. But the amount of misinformation those people were peddling was unbelievable, and they were fighting tooth and nail. So I think the bill being considered was uh, consent, informed consent, and the other one was an opt out. So um, and they were fighting against your ability to opt out of taking certain things that they were going to deem mandatory, and they want to be able to make sure that you cannot opt out. I just found that unbelievable that these people were, that was their position. But when you understand how diabolical these people are, and the fact that they get in there and they go to your legislators and they lobby them and they whip them and they tell them all the pretty things that they tell them, maybe slide them a little favor now and again. You understand why people are doing the things that they're doing in your good name. I saw, and I'm only going to mention this briefly, but I saw a guy that I did respect, Drew Wrigley. He's going to fight basically against the people of South Dakota, against their will. He's going to fight for a big company, a big power company or something that's going. And I'm just shaking my head. How did we get here? What are you doing, dude? And I'm gonna on a future show, I'm gonna see how that whole thing shakes out, and we're gonna definitely talk about that. Tampon Tim, yep. He was. I'm gonna finish reading that now. Gail, so you got me off on a tangent. He was the first to blow the whistle on the fake COVID death numbers. Hospitals were recording automobile and motorcycle deaths as COVID deaths because they were paid for more COVID deaths, and that's a 100% fact. Randy says tampon Tim. Yeah. Walz also passed a bill to take away parental rights to people who didn't affirm their children's gender care. And that's a misnomer if I ever heard of it. If you are mutilating perfectly good body parts to affirm a mental delusion, to me that's not care. That's a Mangala style debauchery. I I can't even understand how our country could have ever wrapped their brains around that, and not just been up in arms, and like people literally run out on a rail, hot tar and feathers, the whole bit. I don't understand how that didn't happen. I don't understand how a red-blooded American male could stand on the sidelines of whatever sport his daughter is in and watch as a guy beats her senseless, all in the name of inclusion. I don't understand how that's a thing, how that could ever be a thing, and how that is a thing. It blows my mind when I think about that. Again, Gail, man, you are Minnesota's being taken over 100%. We need to get rid of Waltz and Omar 100%. I don't see that happening. They covered up the fact that Omar, not only did she marry her brother, her last name is not even Omar. How many of you guys even know that? Like, not only did she marry and divorce her brother, I think she's married to a white Jew now, but she's been divorced twice. I think both times were family members. She lied to get into this country. Well, the people that brought her lied to get her into this country. Omar is not even her last name. That's a whole nother show. And the fact of the matter is, it is a very, very well known fact. And if they haven't kicked her out over that, I don't think she's going anywhere. It's a sad fact. I don't think that these people care what the law is. They don't. They prove that. Doug says each red state has 2 blue dots in it. You're right. And they are urban centers. So they are the population center, which is why they want that 3/5 rule. And I've talked about this way back in the day. I'm going to take you guys back way back in the day when the Democrats were pissed off that, the Republicans that took their slaves away. They treated slaves like second-class citizens, but they wanted to count them for the purpose of apportionment. So they wanted the power that that body got. They just didn't want to recognize it as a body. And the compromise was the 3/5 compromise. That's what the Democrats are doing now. There is nothing new under the sun. Absolutely nothing. The entire reason they wanted to flood America with 25 to 30 million illegals is so they could count the bodies, so they could get more power, so they could get more delegates. That's what it's all about. That is the name of the game. It's not about American exceptionalism. It's not about that. It's a power game. I remember. Well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. If you guys could peer into my head, but I'm going to leave it at that. You're right about the every state is a sea of red with a couple of blue dots, but those blue dots, they have packed those guys to the hilt. Again, one of the reasons it's scary to me, concerning to me, at how fast Fargo is growing is exactly that. Democrats don't have power. But if you just look at the sheer number of rhinos that we have and where they're located, you'll understand that in the near future, Democrats are going to have a foothold. In the very near future, we do have bright spots. My buddy Jared Hendricks is the representative of a district that I would have never imagined could be pulled off by a Republican. And my buddy and Jared he's not just a Republican. He is a dyed in the wool conservative. He is just this side of Ron Paul conservatism. Like, when I first met him, he was a Ron Paul guy, full duster, black Stetson, the whole thing. So he is not a purple guy. He's not a poly soy type of guy. He just worked that district. And by the grace of God, the immigrants in that district, and it's the oddest thing, the majority of the folks in that district are African or Haitian or from one of the African countries. But you get them away from the Democrats that use them, they all sound conservative. And he won that district not once, but twice. So that's a bright spot there. They thought that they were going to get like a blue district there, but it's not. Uh, Donnell says St. Cloud is horrible. Yep. I watched video in recent years past of mobs of Haitians and Somalians at the Mall of America beating Minnesotans senseless, and just they would mob them. Certain parts of Minnesota you can't even go into because it's so dangerous. I don't understand how Vikings allowed that to happen. And I'm going to digress. It blows my mind. It's like if Ragnar Lothbrok walked into Minnesota, he'd be like, what the hell have you guys done? I'm just going to say that, and then I'm going to digress. That is, Kathy Kirkby says, that is why innocent human preborn babies are still being murdered. They believe in exceptions. I don't. I'm not an exception guy. The kid, it's not on the kid. Yeah, whatever happened, whatever the condition of the birth or the conception, the kid does not need to pay with his life. Period. That's where I'm at. I'm not a pro-life with a caveat. I'm pro-life. That's it. Hard stop. Again, Gail, 9-year-olds can't get a tattoo, and rightfully so, but they can take puberty blockers. Yeah, I listened to Charlie Kirk deconstruct that idiocy many, many times. Can't stand her. Yeah, Omar. And cheap labor. You're right, Doug. Again, that all goes into this whole digital ID. Like, the Democrats, like, we don't think diabolical enough to see what the Democrats their end goal is. Like, we need someone in there that can unpack that, and we have a couple of people that do that, and they throw the whole conspiracy. That person's a conspiracy theorist, label around, so we dismiss them because they'll get one or two things wrong, but they'll get like 90% of things right. These people are diabolical. Even if you think that you understand their diabolical nature and where they're going, their end goal, they've already thought 20 moves ahead. Which is why it is so important to stick to the letter of the law. Like, we wouldn't have an immigration problem. We wouldn't have an Ilhan Omar if we just followed our laws. If we followed our immigration laws, the ones that are on the books, the ones that Donald Trump is implementing, and they are fighting him in the court over well-established immigration laws that they are simply enforcing. He's up against the legal system. He's up against lawyers and AGs and people fighting against him, simply carrying out his constitutionally mandated job, duties, and responsibilities. That's what we're up against. It's laws for thee, but not for me. Like, they don't have to follow any of the laws. They can lie, they can cheat, they can steal, they can cheat on their wives. They can, if you're a Clinton, you can have a murder count that's in the hundreds. And like, and we're worried about if we don't pay our parking ticket, we might get some. It's insane to me. Getting sick of the family values Republicans in Bismarck doing nothing to reform family law in North Dakota. And Gabriel, I am 100% with you there. I look at what the family law has done to men in this, and I'm not even going to say in this country, even though it's atrocious in this country. But when you look in North Dakota and you look at family law and what they do to the men, the fathers here, it's unbelievable to me. Like we've had multiple bills presented for like 50-50 parenting. All of them were shot down. They don't see the father as being an actual parent. He's just a knuckle dragging, air breathing simian, that we can squeeze money from. When we have these no fault divorces or the wife, she doesn't want to be married anymore and she takes off. It does not. Don't get me started on that, Jared. I mean, not Jared, but Gabriel. Again, I don't have enough time. I'm like, wow, hour 40 and into a 2 hour show. Have I seen the Minnesota State Fair? I avoid it. That's it. Of course, I've seen it. Dan says Jared and he worked on the Ron Paul campaign together. Yeah, Jared's a good dude. Solid, solid dude. And his political acumen is like unbelievable. It's unlike anybody I've ever seen as young as he is, especially way back when I used to pal around with him. The guy is sharp. He is sharp. You can't take anything from him at all. In this day and age, being called a conspiracy theorist just means you have a functioning bullshit detector. Love that, Justin. I think, and Gail says, I think you should need to be a natural born citizen to serve in government. I agree 100%. And now I'm going to couch the off the cuff segment because I got like 15 minutes right now to get to a couple of other things that I really, really need to get to. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to, no, I really want to, here, give me 2 seconds. We're going to go to at least two issues. One, and I had more, but this is one. Former West Fargo principal. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share this. There were a couple more that I wanted to share. I'm not going to have time to do that, but I want you to see something here. Former West Fargo principal sentenced to 40 years in child sex abuse case. This is in my wood chipper segment. So I'm going to get this out of the way and then we're going to talk about the Moorhead thing. Former principal in the West Fargo Public Schools who had pled guilty to 3 federal charges related to child sex abuse has been sentenced. Federal court sentenced David George to 40 years in prison and 20 years supervised probation on September 8th. Accepting the plea agreement, George had pleaded guilty to transportation of a minor, distribution of images depicting sexual exploitation of children, and possession of images depicting the sexual exploitation of children. The former Independence Elementary principal and Cheney Middle School assistant principal was arrested back in August of 2023. Now, when I tell you I homeschool my child, do you see why? And he's not the only one. There are a ton of these, how do I put this nicely? Deserving of the wood chipper, MFers, in various positions of power all over North Dakota. It is unbelievable how many of these people are pedophiles. Unbelievable. I mean, again, you love your kid, homeschool them. That's all I got to say. And then have a, especially in politics, because it seems to me some of the sickest people are drawn to politics at the highest level. The highest level. It's sad. It's sick, and it's worthy of the Wood Chipper Award, in my humble opinion. Anyway, I'm going to go to the Moorhead area public schools. Definitely want to talk about this. Here we go. Let's go ahead and share that. Moorhead area public school officials have pulled a book from the library at Horizon Middle School West. Some are finding inappropriate and racist. Now, an issue was raised on social media about the book entitled Not My Idea, a book about whiteness, written and illustrated by Anastasia Higginbotham something. So I read that and I commented, and we'll get to my comments here in a minute. But I wanted to do my due diligence, and I go and I look up Anastasia. So share this tab instead. Yes, I do not want your dumb whatever you're selling. Here is Anastasia. You'll notice that she's a white liberal woman, and she is, and I'm reading from her bio here. She is the White Raven award-winning author and illustrator of Divorce is the Worst, Death is Stupid, Tell Me About Sex, Grandma, and Not My Idea, a book about whiteness. Oh, that she is available to speak on dismantling whiteness. So, again, you got her. Her book is influencing young minds. You get your, I don't know, little Sally coming home from school hating herself because she's white. Oh yeah, she is missing the glasses. You're right. Normally these type of idiots have glasses. I mean, idiots. I said I was going to stop calling idiots idiots. I'm going to call them idiots instead. Anyway, so I saw that obviously, and I obviously I had a problem with that, and I said, like, one of my comments was, bitter pills, get your kids out of public school. They will not change. Too many parents abdicate their responsibilities to these groomers, and they're happy to do it. Just look at how many lazy white liberal women think teaching their kids about the wrongness of their whiteness is great. Boys and girls sports is inclusive, so it's great. Flooding your school that incidentally keeps asking for more and more money with illegals and refugees is compassionate. So overcrowded and dangerous schools are great. Cue the weak, fat dudes for Kamala to come to their aid. They have a lock on that institution. They no longer care about the proverbial 3 R's. It's all about social engineering now. And the sooner you learn that, the better. One of my other comments was, in light of the dust up over the book entitled Not My Idea, a book about whiteness, I'm tempted to write a book entitled Black Fragility, a book about the fragility of the modern black ethos and how to move away from the victim mentality and get back to black excellence. I wonder how it would be received. Now, one of the ventures, like, and I had a couple of folks DM me. I had a couple of folks actually write in the comment section, ask me, why don't you write? That'd be a great idea. Write a book. And with me, like, I do write a lot. I do a lot of letters to the editor. I am, as a matter of fact, and my wife will tell you this. Um, I'm writing a book for my son when I'm gone. And basically, every week when I get a minute to sit down and type, I'll take a topic and I'll just parse it out. And I got it on one of my huge drives, like the one that's back there. And when I die, Nicole is gonna get it published, get it bound, and give it to him. And it's gonna be just basically me talking to him like I always talk to him, you know. But so it got me thinking. So last night I sat down and I did a rough draft for a children's book, and it's called God Spark, and it is an answer to that. Now, again, you got a guy like me that's salty, so the thing has already went through many, many, many revisions. Nick telling me, well, that'll be over. This book is geared toward 8 to 12-year-olds. So I had to walk a couple of things back and a couple of big concepts that I don't believe. Well, Nicole did not believe that kids that young would be able to grasp. And I think when I started, it was too race forward, and you'll see what I mean. Once I unpack it, and I'll actually before. Oh, we got only 10 minutes here, but I'll actually read to you a little portion of it. It's going to be a so this part of it, I think I am gonna push forward with. My wife and I, we talked about it. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get this book published. So look for God Spark, and I'll be talking about it in the very near future. All the publishing Christian publishing houses that I've spoken to said 3 to 6 months. So we're gonna work within that window. I already got the manuscript pretty much down for this book, and it's basically me sitting down talking to Eli, and Eli, telling me about a problem that his friend had. I'm gonna pull it up here. Give me 1 second. Nope, that's the Black Fragility. So yeah, we're not. That's not. That one is heavy. That Black Fragility. That one, and I'm going to write that. I just don't have a timetable for that. That might take me a minute or two, but it already started off like a banger, banger. Um, I'm just going to read you a couple of snippets. So chapter one starts, Dad, which is me. Hey Eli, why do you look so sad, buddy? Eli says, Dad, my friend Jamal says his stepdad got fired because he's black, and his teacher said black people can't be great until white people stop holding them down. He said America was built on the backs of black people. We can't move forward unless white people step back. Is that true? And then I tell Eli, oh, that's pretty heavy stuff. I'm glad you're talking to me about it. Some of what Jamal's teacher said comes from real history. Black people have faced unfair challenges, and some still do. But saying you can't shine until others move, that's not the whole story. Let's start there. Eli, do you remember in the Transformers movie what they call the All Spark? Eli, yep, it's the source of all Transformer life. Me, correct. What if I told you that we all have something similar in us? And Eli goes, wait, what? And I go, we do. It's called the Imago Dei. It means the image of God, or the God spark. And our Lord gave one to every child at conception. One of the things it does is it connects us all to God and God to us. It means we're all brothers. Eli goes, wow. And I go, well, back when our country was founded, some people couldn't see that spark in others, or maybe they didn't understand. People who looked like you, me, and Jamal sold people who looked like you, me, and Jamal to traders who looked like your buddy Mike and his dad as slaves. Why did they do that? I say they couldn't see the Imago Dei or God spark in their brothers, and the traders couldn't see it either. They both thought of them as cattle, not brothers. But that's not the end of the story. Let's move forward in history a bit. And I'm going to stop there because, but I have the whole manuscript here, all the chapters, activities in between for kids, for a parent, if you're talking to your kid, to basically these activities are in the model of the Brave book series. They're meant to make children think. and not in the way that our public school is having them think. So, when I do publish this book, I am going to try to get it into the public schools, libraries, and the libraries around. In I'm going to start with North Dakota and then Minnesota, but I think it's going to be a heavy lift because, as you can plainly see, I don't shy away from my Christianity. So that's going to be in there. I also don't demonize all white people. I'm not going to do that. Half the country fought for my ancestors to be free. So, and they were white, so we're not doing that. I'm not going to tell little white kids that they should be ashamed of themselves. Just like I'm not going to tell little black kids they should be ashamed of themselves because black folks sold us to the white folks. So, how do you dig down into that without getting into a racial mudslinging pit? You do that. I am, Lynette. I'm right. That portion that I just read you is, I'm going to say, a third of the first chapter of that book. That's all me. All of that I just read. I am writing this book. My wife and I are going to publish this book. My wife is my editor because, again, I am just all rough edges. And my wife is like, no, you can't say this. That's a children's book. And she pulls me back in. Now, the Black Fragility book is going to be all me. Like I want all my rough edges in that book because it's designed for a older demographic, and sometimes you got to shake people and shake them awake, and that's what that book is going to do. With this book, I want to reach very, very young, impressionable minds, the minds that these people have been indoctrinating. I want them to think of something outside of themselves, and that's not something they're getting in the public school system right now. I want them to see themselves as not like, oh, me, 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 me. I want them to see themselves like we have Eli picture himself. He's part of something bigger than him. His success, whatever he's doing, he needs to be the best at it so he betters the culture, betters the family, betters society as a whole, and honors his father, his mother, and his God, his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's what we teach him. And I think that is missing in too many books, even Christian books. And I think that's missing. I think there's not enough black authors that are being uh, broadcasted to the public that have that mindset. Most of the black authors you see they're all race baiters, and I'm not that. Never have been. Hope to God I never become one of those people because it would mean I've lost all integrity. Period. Anyway, so we're gonna end this program now. Thank you for all of the folks that tuned in. Gabriel, thank you. Love the Transformers connection. Lynette, are you writing this book? Yes. Justin, I'd buy a copy. Thank you. We're hoping for that. Awesome. I can't wait. Let me edit that one. Oh, that's my brother right there, Mosiah. My actual brother right there. Children do not see color until they are influenced by adults. Doug, right on. Randy, headed out. Thanks for the conversation, Leon. Man, I am always open for a conversation. One thing I like to do, especially, and I haven't always been this way, but sometimes I like to talk. Sometimes I got something to say, and sometimes I look at the world as it sits. And again, I feel that someone needs to shake up the room. Somebody needs to come in there, and everyone needs to put eyes on that guy, and that guy needs to say, "What the hell is wrong with you people?" And that's my forte, I guess you'd say. So yeah, and Gail, I agree. Eli has put a couple of gray hairs between Nicole and I, but overall, he's an amazing kid, amazing young man, and I believe because he's such a great boy, if he was not, we'd have a much easier time, but then we'd have a problem. So I love it. That his level is, I call it little bitty baby testosterone, and I couldn't be happier. He is a godsend. He is a blessing, and I my sincerest wish is that every family is so blessed and see it as a blessing. In our day and age, too many people do not see families and children as blessings. They see them as burdens. I can't wait to do stuff with Eli, even stupid stuff that will probably get us hurt and probably get us yelled at. I love it, man. So anyway, I am going to sign off. I want to tell all you guys, God bless. Thank you for listening. This is Blackbeard Logic, and I'm going to leave you with a little piece of logic. I believe that I'm going to put this on a shirt. I used to have all these shirts. I think this is going to be one of the shirts that I'm going to come out with. Blackbeard Logic number 187. That which does not kill you has made a serious tactical error. BBL number 187. God bless.